4 out of every 10 children in NTT are stunted. They're chronically malnourished. But you will see all the kids there, they're holding ultra-processed food, jajan. They have money to buy jajan. Every day they buy jajan, sugary drinks, and that fools their brain into believing that they don't need food, real food, because they're on sugar. They're high on sugar. The dads are smoking. Another indication that they have money. So if you want to really help them and you want to help them sustainably and long term, it's not always food. The answer is not always food.
Dr. Riri, welcome to the compound.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Please introduce yourself.
My name is Rindang Asmara. My friends call me Riri. I'm a medical doctor by training. And I'm currently the CEO of an organization called 1,000 Days Fund. We used to say that we're a small but feisty organization, but this was back maybe about 4 years ago when we were just 8 people strong. Now we're 56 people.
Wow.
On team. We work specifically in strengthening community health systems. That means training community health workers, but also making sure that they have the ecosystem that supports them to work in improving maternal and child health, specifically malnutrition. And right now, because the government main priority is stunting or chronic malnutrition, we focus on that issue.
That's wonderful. And I wonder if you could walk me through the first time when you started at Manggarai Barat.
Yes.
And I am a person from a big city in Jakarta. It's very different from Bali.
Yeah.
What was it like to go there and visiting these families? Paint a picture whereby, people like me in the big cities can actually understand.
Before I go there, please watch our documentary if you haven't already.
Boleh.
It's called Indonesia Silent Emergency, Stunting in Rural Population. And I'm sure because it's a documentary, it can paint a better picture than me trying to describe it for you. It's a documentary that we made with MD Entertainment and it's won awards. I joined 1,000 Days Fund in 2021, starting out as a volunteer. Back then I was working for private hospitals, but I wanted to try something new. And because my passion is public health, I started volunteering with 1,000 Days Fund. 1,000 Days Fund itself was founded in 2019. And at the time, I visited their work in Manggarai Barat, so Labuan Bajo, but also the smaller islands, about 20 to 30 minutes away by speedboat from the mainland. So Komodo Island, but not the park, behind the park.
Behind the park.
Behind the park, and it's very different. Again, if you watch the documentary, you will see Papagarang Island, and I think at the time I also visited Rinca. And what I saw was people already know what stunting is. I mean, they can rattle back. So if you ask them, do you know what stunting is? Yes, stunting is da-da-da-da-da-da. They can rattle back.
Chronic malnutrition.
Chronic malnutrition, first 1,000 days of life, brain development. They can say the keywords. They know the keywords. However, community health workers are not well trained yet. And that knowledge that both families and community health workers had at the time has not translated yet into everyday behavior. So that, I think, is the biggest difference between major cities and remote areas in Eastern Indonesia. So for example, sanitation is really poor. Granted, there's no water access. Clean water access is expensive. Expensive. But at the same time, there's no behavior for sanitation. It's not there yet. Or there's no what we call as health-seeking behavior. So if you get sick, if I get sick, we know to seek help.
Yeah.
And that is because we have the knowledge. And sometimes we even go to the pharmacy to obtain, we have an idea, right? Oh, maybe I need paracetamol. But they don't have that. One, because they don't have the knowledge or information. And also because they're not used to having a reliable functioning
System
that they can rely on and that they can afford. That's another thing. But what was most interesting for me, the most interesting finding was that they're not cash poor. So for sure, socioeconomic status, most of the families coming from lower socioeconomic background, but they do have money for food. You will see kids, and at the time, something right there was north of 40%. So can you imagine?
40%. So like
North of 40%. So
okay.
yeah, 4 out of every 10 children in NTT are stunted. They're chronically malnourished. But you will see all the kids there, they're holding ultra-processed food, jajan. They have money to buy jajan. Every day they buy jajan, sugary drinks. And that fools their brain into believing that they don't need food, real food, because they're on sugar. They're high on sugar. The dads are smoking. Another indication that they have money. So if you want to really help them and you want to help them sustainably and long term, it's not always food. The answer is not always food.
So it's pretty crazy in the sense that the volume of the food itself is not really a problem and the affordability is not really a problem.
Yep.
It's really the quality of nutrition that is actually getting fed into these children that is causing the stunting problem that you see in the community.
Correct. Yeah. So the problem, stunting is not just a food problem. It's an access problem. It's a system problem. Most of them are fishermen. They're surrounded by animal protein.
Good food.
Yeah. But they would sell it to the local market and then get instant noodle back, because it can sustain them longer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's knowledge, it's information, it's reliable frontline healthcare providers that can, give them this kind of information.
And I think it's also counterintuitive for them as well that, more food means, more harmful for their health eventually as well, if the food itself is not good. And then they don't really have the knowledge about like the importance of taking it very, very seriously.
Yeah.
And I'm quite curious as well, if this problem is left untreated as it is, if we let it run its course in Indonesia, what would happen? What is the significance of treating this problem really seriously?
So stunting is not just about linear growth. It's not just about height. Our founder used to say that I'm not a basketball coach. I don't care how tall kids are, simply put. But it is the easiest indicator to measure whether a child may be stunted or not. It also affects brain development. The first 1,000 days of life, 80% of brain development happens.
Yeah.
Because if you miss that train, you lose 80%. I mean, most of the process that's happening. Also, immune system is developing. So they will get sick more frequently compared to healthy children. And then it doesn't matter anymore what you eat if your body is using it constantly to fight off infections because you get sick a lot. And then these kids, when they're stunted, it'll affect their, again, brain development. So that means school performance, learning outcomes. And then as they grow into adults, they may have lower income and they will still have poorer health. And then you take it to a macroeconomic level. And this is where our government is putting a lot of attention in trying to tackle the problem, because then our country will lose productivity and potential economic potential.
Yeah, and I think the compounding growth in the first 1,000 days of the children itself is something that is quite commonly misunderstood by people. They might think that, this stunting problem is actually reversible once you course correct later down the road.
Yeah.
But actually the golden phase of childhood development is actually happening very early on.
Yeah, the first 1,000 days. So since pregnancy to a child's second birthday. Another misconception is if a child is stunted, that means that they're severely too short for children their age. The parents would say, oh, no, it's okay because I'm short and his dad is short too. So it's genetic. No, it's not. It's different. That's called short stature, but the kids will not be as severely short as if they are stunted.
This is also, testament to the fact that the economy is made out of people, right?
Yeah.
If you focus on investing on your people as well as you can, the long-term impact of the economy is something that is unimaginable as well to the regulators, to the government, to the community.
Yeah, and then health spending also, right? With BPJS, because there's less infection.
Yeah.
Have to cover less expenses.
So ultimately, it becomes something that is, critical for the government to take a stand on as well, to focus on. And it also becomes critical for charity foundations like yourself to treat this problem and then have proper systems that is being implemented in the communities. And I think I just cannot fathom like the difficulty of like trying to set up systems as well, because the way you explain it, there is a gap between the theory and the practice, the implementation that is being done by these people on site.
Yeah.
What is the biggest challenge in building the systems?
But I like that you mentioned the word gap.
Yeah.
Because we like to call ourselves sometimes gap filler. Yeah, we're a gap filler. Like dentists.
That applies to startups as well. I mean, there's a problem in the society and there's a gap. We fill in the gap.
Yes.
So basically.
Yes, and the gap can be different between one area and another.
Yeah.
So we always say that the problem of stunting in Indonesia is not because of lack of solutions. The people ask us all the time, what's the government doing? trust me, the government is doing more than enough. They're doing everything that they can. So I like to use the analogy of water irrigation. So the government has provided the pipes, the government has provided the water pumps, the water, everything needed, right? And then the technical guidance on how to use the system, but trickle it down all the way to the village levels. Sometimes all those efforts, and then also efforts from non-governmental organizations like ours, they're not orchestrated well. And we like to, again, call us either gap fillers or a systems orchestrator. So we identify, the good news is there are so many good people doing good work. That's the good news in different ways, but sometimes they have different priorities. Sometimes they're not working based on the same amount of information. We come in and we position ourselves as the bridge. You know, the Bapeda is doing this, Dinas Kesehatan is doing this is Puskesmas, and then there is village government with Posyandu. Okay, how do we connect the dots? That's the role that Thousand Days Fund is playing. So at the same time, then, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just working within an existing health infrastructure and programs.
What's the biggest challenge in connecting the dots?
Trust.
Trust.
Yeah, gaining trust from all different stakeholders and key actors. But that's why we always, hire locals because they come from them. They speak the language, they understand the context, but also the barriers. You know, they know how to talk to them and talk to them effectively. Usually we would hire people who have strong advocacy skills.
Yeah.
And that's why we stay. So our program lasts for 3 years. We don't do, a flashy ceremonial kickoff of the program, do one training and then leave.
Yeah.
3 months later,
Yeah.
we stay with them. We spend time with them. We let them know that we're here as your partner. You know, we're not working for you, but we're working together, strengthening the system that belongs to you. So even after we leave 3 years later, it's sustainable. You can just continue. Yeah, you can just continue what we're building together.
And I think that trust component is something that is very surprising to me as well, but also very, very intuitive, because I'd imagine that the communities in Manggarai Barat or in the area would have their own adat, would have their own culture, traditions.
Yeah, that's true.
So you have to be able to speak in their language to be able to make a meaningful difference that is sustainable, that is not just, you go there and then you leave and then nothing.
Or even worse, you go there and you dictate. Listening is really important.
What's
to understand people? Sorry?
Sorry for cutting you as well, but what's the bad impact of like trying to dictate people on what to do in communities that you have seen?
Well, first of all, you can't gain that trust that you really need for your program to be impactful and effective. It doesn't work like that. You really have to, so many programs, tell people what to do or train them what to do and how to do it specifically. But very rare that they stay and listen to the community. What are actually the barriers? We've trained you this, but how come you're not implementing it on the ground? There are barriers that we need to understand. We just learned recently. So we just opened our program in Belu, the district of Belu, and we just learned recently that 60% of people's household income is spent on traditional ceremonies. Weddings, funerals.
Kematian, yes.
Yes. I don't know, birthdays? I don't think so. But things like that. Those are significant contributing factors that we need to understand before you come in. And people who live in remote areas, they've seen people come and go. Okay, Dr. PTT, for example, they're there to finish their internship for a year and then they leave. We don't do that. We stay with you at least for 3 years.
I think that consistency that allows you to be there and allows you to gain trust is very, very important, because if they don't really see a figure that is willing to work for them for the long term, it is easy for them to revert back to their common behaviors. And it's not that we're just trying to tell you what to do or I always assume we know better. It's more of, hey, we're working for your own interest. And that is how we win people's trust. And we also try to create early wins so that we can celebrate it together. For example, now it's growth monitoring for children is more accurate. For example, community health workers now are capable of measuring and giving tailored counseling to parents as opposed to before when they were not trained. So they just measure, but they have no idea what they're measuring or what that result means.
right? Now they're trained, they're confident, they can talk to moms, moms understand the messages. Early wins like that we celebrate with them. See, this is progress, this progress, and you did it. So yeah.
How do they feel when you showcase that big improvement?
We advocate on incentivizing community health workers because we ran a focus group discussion, and it says that they can work up to 113 hours per month.
Per month.
Per month. And they get about 200,000 rupiah
200
per month.
Per month?
Per month. 200,000 to some areas, 500,000, but still. But they never ask for money. Very rarely do they ask for money. First and foremost, what they would ask of us is train us. So it's like somebody is asking you to be a pilot. Would you ask them, how much are you willing to pay me for that? No, you will ask for training, right?
Yes.
Train me, because there's social pressure as well for community health workers to perform. You have been appointed by your village to provide service for your community, yet they don't know what they're doing. Nobody is building their capacity to perform. So they would ask you, train me. Oh, I have a good story from Sika, district of Sika. We went there. Our training team went there, and the community health workers cried because that was the first time they've ever received training. We have requested for years, nobody would come to Sika. You're the first.
So the training itself is very, very important for the community health workers, not because we want them to get better, because they themselves
Want to be better.
Want to be better.
Perform better.
For their own community. And this is giving me chills right now.
Yes, come to the field.
Yeah.
You'll see it for yourself.
For sure. And when you celebrate the early wins as well, then they know that they have actually made the contribution that they are supposed to.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah.
So there's a sense of pride, and it's the simplest recognition that we can give for them. It's not in a material way at all, but the fact that you are making a contribution to your community. Hey, you remember the 8 kids that were stunted and we started our work together?
Yep.
Now we have 3, and it's because of you.
What do you think drives that motivation to want to give back to community amongst these community health workers?
I believe that people are inherently kind. I don't know. I'm just one of those. There are 2 kinds of people. I just believe that they have goodwill, but also sense of responsibility. For example, last week I just came back from Manggarai Barat, and the one village that I visited, supposed to have 5 community health workers, but only 2 were in the meeting, and they go, the other 3, they're not really active. Why? Oh, because they have full-time jobs or they're busy with other things. And why are you here? Because whether or not you do your work, you will get the same amount of incentive. Right? Why are you here? Although your friends are not. And they go, because it's our responsibility, because it's the right thing to do.
It's very, very heartwarming to see that these people really exist, really care for their communities, especially amidst, like, for example, the issues that has been going on in social media about like how terrible the government people are and everything. And then when you also mention about the government is doing a lot of things to have this structured in a way that is going to be beneficial for like the people there. And then you have the people who are also willing to be receptive of these help from the government. And then you there existing as the orchestrator so that the stakeholders can be managed well and the systems can be implemented well in the communities to reduce the stunting rate in the communities. And I think that's a very, very brilliant way of performing your work as well, which I realize as well as, because you're dealing with human and you're trying to win trust, but you're also a CEO and you are running a charity organization that have ambitious goals. So I'm thinking, how do you define the goals themselves and how do you come up with them? What drives you,
So of course, we look at the size of the problem or the needs, the size of the problem and the needs, and we take into account so many factors. We discuss with the local government that we work with, what are your priorities, and what's your ambition, and how can we match up with their ambitions or contribute to them achieving their ambitions too. And then we also take into account our operational capacity, of course, right, including financial capacity. We don't want to be too ambitious that it is not achievable, because then not only that the team will be demotivated, but we're basically setting ourselves up to fail. right? But at the same time, it has to still be ambitious enough.
So you're striking the balance between, what these people need, and then you try to meet that, but then you do not want to be unrealistic as well.
Of course, yeah. We don't want to promise and then underdeliver. Also, lessons from the field. We've been here this is our 7th year. We look at the history of our success, but also the challenges to weigh, whether or not what the targets that we set are realistic. So for example, like 30% in areas where we work, and now we work in 7 districts, 106 villages. We've trained 60,000 community health workers. The average stunting reduction that have happened in our areas is between roughly 20 to 40%. And that's why we put, 30% I think is realistic. That's
Then you
what we
pin
said.
that down and you set that as per
Yeah.
organization goal.
Yeah.
Leads me to the natural next question as well, because you are trying to build trust and by orchestrating different stakeholders. And that's very difficult to replicate from one context to another context. So how do you plan to scale the organization?
Oh, that's an excellent question. This is why we designed the program to be adoptable, ready to adopt by the national government. And 2, this is why we always prioritize good relationship with decision makers, policy makers, national level and subnational level. We just had a meeting with the Ministry of Health yesterday, and they really like our program, and that's pathway to scale, right, through government adoption. Again, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just strengthening what's already there. So our program director would map out, these are the key actors, these are the decision makers, this is what we can tap into, mix it together, design a program with them, alongside the local government, because again, they can be very different, like you said, and then launch. And then we're very critical of ourselves. So we run rigorous evidence too. We produce rigorous evidence too, to see if our program is really
Working.
impactful. Yeah, it is really working. And then we showcase that to the national government so that they can adopt.
Right. I like when you say that we are not trying to reinvent the wheel, because a lot of the solutions, or like people who want to introduce change to societies and everything, try to say that we are the innovators, but sometimes the true innovation is really just doing what have been working.
Thank you.
And applying to.
Thank you. Thanks for being different. But I cannot blame them at the same time. Funders, investors love that novelty. Their AI and drones and apps, but thank you for saying that. I agree.
And here I am finding your organization through AI.
Thank you, AI.
Thank you, AI, as well.
And thank you, Toby.
Thank you for being here as well. I'm very, very humbled and privileged to have you on board.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I think this is going to be one of the few last questions as well. And, about originality and about technological changes. How do you view the technological changes that we are seeing today in modern society with artificial intelligence? I've found you guys through Claude.
Yeah.
And how are you utilizing AI in your organization to make it better?
Oh, so I just said something about AI. Here I am talking about our AI innovation. So the first one, we have what we call as a rapid learning cycle. So we run an AI-assisted qualitative surveys, and the participants can be community health workers or mothers or puskesmas or government, right? On certain subjects. It runs on WhatsApp. So we give them the questions and they can just send us a voice note as their answers, and it'll be transcribed and analyzed in less than 24 hours. We'll get results in 24 hours. This is important because I feel that a lot of AI innovation is about, again, telling people what to do. And this is about listening to you, listening to the community, asking them, again, what are the barriers and what helps you? What are the facilitators? And the second one is, it's still in development phase, but we call it NutriLink. NutriLink.
Okay.
So it's AI assisted. Okay, so I'll just elaborate it this way. Community health workers can just input their findings and the data of the children that they take care of, and then the AI will do the analysis, so they don't have to manually plot the child on a XY axis anymore. Toby, Toby's normal, or Toby is underweight. And then, but it's not allowed to give you medical advice, right? But it is trained to read warning signs.
Okay.
Yeah, so the AI, NutriLink, will say that take Toby to a local health facility. He needs this.
Right, so the data from that you collect from the children or from the mothers can be mapped out automatically to
Correct.
extra
To a dashboard.
Yeah.
And then we bring this dashboard and share our findings with the task force, with the villages. So they can see, oh, okay, these are the charts and what it means.
I think that's really brilliant use case of AI because, AI is very good in taking unstructured data, like you mentioned, voice note into structured data.
Yes, very
that-
fast.
Very fast. And when you also mentioned about, giving voice notes, as in like getting survey responses from voice note, I think that's really, really wonderful as well because you work with their current workflow.
Yes.
You're not trying to get them to adopt a new technology. Hey, you're using WhatsApp? Okay, we'll work with WhatsApp.
Indonesia uses WhatsApp, right? Yeah. You don't have to download different apps. We have so many. Even in the health sector, we have from the government, we have so many. And now they're integrating it into Satu Sehat, which is great, right?
Yeah, just one app.
Just one app, please.
Yeah, Dr. Riri, this is giving me chills, like how aligned we are in terms of organization as well.
Yeah.
The first day when we started Recompound as well, we say, we're not going to build an app. So people have too many apps, so we're going to exist in people's WhatsApp groups, and we're going to help them through WhatsApp.
That's great. Yeah, nobody needs a new app, another app.
I'm going to make you draw like a question.
Okay.
And then the question is going to be like about yourself. And then you answer and then I'll answer as well. I have a feeling that you'll enjoy the question, but then there'll be 3 different types of cards. So the icebreaker and then the blue cards and then the golden cards. So the icebreaker, we ice broke already. Our ice broke already. So there's no need.
No ice in this.
There's no ice in this room.
No.
So you're gonna be selecting one or the other.
Did you make this yourself?
Yeah. So we found that, a lot of busy professionals, consultants, lawyers, entrepreneurs, they're quite lonely. They can't really confide into other people about the work that they do or the challenges that they face in their careers when building families.
Vulnerable. Yeah.
So they don't have enough chance to be vulnerable amongst other people. So I designed these questions when we have community events or like when we meet with the clients would, would be facing one another and then they would attempt to answer these questions, reveal more about themselves, be in a psychologically safe space so that they can feel less lonely overall.
Now I'm both excited and nervous.
Come on. Okay. So this is going to be like the cards. You can choose.
Okay.
Okay. Read the question.
If your younger self could see your life now, okay, what would they be proud of and what would disappoint them? The disappoint part is tricky, but I think I've always been the same person since I was little. I just always feel called upon doing something. And I think the younger version of myself would be proud, not because of that I'm a doctor or I'm a CEO, not because of all of that, but because I'm persistent and resilient. I mentioned in the documentary that my role model is Paul Farmer, and Paul Farmer is exactly like that. He just refused to accept that quality healthcare is only possible in wealthy settings. He just refused. And he's just an optimist, such a great activist. And I feel like I'm the same, And the organization that he founded stays for decades in areas that they work, even when progress is slow. They call it the long defeat, and we're the same, And I think the younger version of myself would be proud of that. Like, that I run an organization that stays even the progress is slow. Disappoint.
That's very wonderful.
Thank you.
Consistency.
Yeah, consistency and resume. Just don't give up. It's not acceptable.
Just don't get
Acceptable.
Yeah. I'll answer the disappointment part for myself then, I guess. I'm quite disappointed that I haven't met you earlier.
Well, now we've met. The next meeting should be in Labuan Bajo.
Okay. As the CEO of 1000 Days Funds, I'm also quite curious about your decision to focus on the problem of stunting. Usually when you have a society, there will be multifaceted problems gitu kan, from like infrastructure, technology, or like dan lain sebagainya. So why do you choose to focus on one problem instead of many?
One problem because it's a big problem and it carries not only the whole lifetime of a child who is stunted, but also intergenerational.
Yeah.
So if the child happen to be a female, then she'll grow up into a malnourished young woman who will become malnourished mother, give birth to malnourished baby, and so on, right? It's a vicious cycle. But also because when you're doing everything, you're doing nothing. And we are critical of ourselves again. We want to see if our program is impactful, and it's really difficult to measure if you do everything, where instead of if you're doing one thing and you're laser focused, you put all of your resources there, designing the program, executing the program, executing the program, and measuring the effectiveness. It's easier rather than if we do, maybe it's food security. Let's do a little bit of agriculture. And we don't have experts in agriculture. We let other organizations do that because we understand it's also important. How about climate? How about just because sometimes the temptation is funders want to do agriculture. Can you not do a little bit of agriculture?
Yeah.
That's great if that's what you focus on, but that's not our focus. So if there's no alignment, we normally choose not to do it. We're laser focused.
Yeah. And it also boils down to what you are really good at as well. You told me that you are a medical doctor.
Yeah.
Doesn't really make sense for me to, if you're a medical doctor and then like, oh, let's do agriculture.
Yeah.
Well,
let's do, I don't know, mangrove.
Yeah.
Or deforestation.
Not saying that these things are not problems that we should not work on, but we should know ourselves and what kind of problems that we are most adequate in tackling, given our skill sets, given our passion, and given our calling as well. I also want to ask you also a question about how do you feel when you receive like such a prestigious award, and congratulations to you.
Thank you. Oh, I read the email at 2:30. So my husband woke me up and told me to read my email. Read your email. And that night I had two email in my inbox, and I opened the wrong one. And I was pissed at him for waking me up for this email. And then he looked at my phone and he's like, "You're reading the wrong one. Open the other one." And so I did, and it was that, and it felt surreal. When we applied for that award, everybody is applying for that, and we have at least maybe like 10 people telling us to try and apply. I did not expect much other than, I want to learn from the process, and because a part of the selection process is peer review. So I had to review 4 other organizations' applications, and I'm already learning a lot. 4,000 plus applicants from all over the world. Again, good news, right? 4,000 plus organizations doing good just to improve women's health through different approaches, different ways, different strategies. I'm learning from them. But the other thing that I learned was that the best ones usually combine 1, commitment, dedication, hard work, but 2, rigorous evidence. But the third one is a compelling human story. We like to talk about stunting as statistics.
Yeah.
But these are real children.
Yeah.
These are real lives, real families.
Yeah.
So that's the story that we need to put forward to put it into perspective.
Yeah. And by the way, this award is not just some random award. It's Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Award.
Yes.
It's like...
And we're the only grantee in Indonesia.
Awardee in Indonesia. And this is really prestigious. And mad props to you guys for being able to pull that off. And I'm actually really proud to be Indonesian because you actually accomplish the things that you're accomplishing. And it gives me more faith that, there are really good people out there that is actually working.
That's true.
Good work.
That's true. Yeah. Keep believing that. Don't lose that faith, that hope. There are good people.
Yeah. So you told me about the email, 2:30 a.m. in the morning. How did you feel? When you read the email, nerves down the spine?
Oh yeah. A mixture of
how did you
emotions.
Tell your coworkers about the news?
I just forwarded, I took a screenshot and I shared it with them.
Uh-huh.
But at the time I myself was still in the state of disbelief. And then the next morning I sent it to the board of 1,000 Days Fund, board of trustees, board of supervisors. They're so happy. I think that was the first big award that we ever won. It's such a global validation. It also gives us access to, what's great about Melinda Gates Award is that it's unrestricted, meaning that you can use it for capacity building. They're investing in the organization and not just the activities, not just the programs, but the organization. So you can use it for whatever you want. And this is actually a practice in philanthropy that Melinda wants to change, is that once you give the money, don't control it, because when you control it, you don't really trust them.
Yeah.
This is a trust-based grant. And then a few days later, we've been waiting for like a grant agreement. Okay, what are the stipulations, right? And it's just a one pager. And it says that a year after you receive this grant, send us a 1-page report answering these 3 questions. 1, how did it help your organization to scale? 2, what did you learn? And 3, I forgot what was the third one, but it's just that. So there's no reporting, complicated reporting structure.
Investor relation,
Yeah,
that kind of,
yeah. It's just give us the answer, these 3 questions.
And I think also it's because that trust in the first place is very difficult to earn, which is why once you earned it, they know that
you deserve it.
you deserve it.
Yeah.
You know?
You know what you're doing. You know how to manage the fund. We're actually the best positioned party that knows about the work that we do and the place where we do it. Right?
So there's that element of baked in humility as well when they are giving you the fund. But it's also because you also have the humility in empowering these community health workers.
Yeah.
You are working with these people. So you're not really trying to tell people what to do, but it's also about empowering the communities through implementing the systems that you know these people can reliably rely back on like the coming years.
Correct.
And you know that this actually has proven results. And that becomes like such a powerful validation statement. But it's just a powerful thing to see like how the world works that allows you to realize that you don't really have to control everything.
Yep.
But like when you trust right people, they will do their best for you. And then you can make meaningful change.
Selection process is of course important, right?
Yeah.
Due diligence process, selection process. But once you pass that and they pass that, then you should trust them.
Awesome stuff. That's very awesome. Dr. Riri, it's a pleasure meeting you.
Oh, likewise. Pleasure is mine.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us. Thank you for doing your work too.
And likewise, the same goes to you. And I have deep respect and admiration for what you do. And hopefully it carries on and it creates good, meaningful changes in society going forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Toby.
Cheers.
Cheers.